What would Dr. Paul know about how to be an effective working mom? Well, I've been paying attention, but I brought a friend today. Michelle McCullough is going to help us out with that. My hat goes off. I don't have a hat on. I should have worn one.
It's metaphorical.
But if I had a hat, it would go off to you, the working mom. Wow. Huge task that you're taking on. First of all, parenting, so important. And thank you for being a subscriber here on our Positive Parenting playlist. You're going to find all kinds of resources there. We want to talk about you today. How do you be an effective working mom? I brought one in. It's my friend Michelle McCullough. She's an entrepreneur. She's an expert. She's a genius on things like marketing and social media and business development. She's been an entrepreneur for probably her whole adult life and part of her early teens or late teens. So what do I know about being a working mom? Well, I know who to bring in.
I'm glad to be here.
Can you help us with that?
Absolutely.
Michelle? Because you know what it's like, right? You've been in the trenches and it's not easy to balance all of that.
There's no such thing as balance.
But you found some magic sauce, right?
Found priorities, right?
Priorities, principles.
Yes. Absolutely.
That's what we're talking about. Yeah.
I was raised by an amazing single mother. And so I watched her raise 4 kids and have a full-time job from the time I was about 8 years old. And what's amazing is I look back on that and she made it look easy. That doesn't mean it wasn't hard. And that doesn't mean that I didn't see her do hard things or that she didn't struggle. But she figured out how to make it all work. And so when I was approaching being a working mom, I thought, oh, this is going to be easy. I know what it's like. I saw a great role model. It totally works. And it turns out it's a little bit harder in real life than just watching
Mom made it look easy.
Yes, she did. She made it look easy.
Which, can I just comment about that real quick? We come by our thoughts and our perceptions honestly. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because as little kids, we see a role model and we see how our parents handle things. And when you mentioned that you were raised by a really phenomenal, loving, single mom who is a working mom, you got to view an example of how this can work. And unfortunately, a lot of us don't necessarily have that same experience, but you've been able to take that experience and analyze and come up with, okay, what's working about that might not be working in some other cases. So I just wanted to comment about the value of that experience, having been raised by an effective single mom.
Yeah, she did it. She had it. She seemed to have it all together. And like I said, I can remember challenges and I can remember times that she was tired. Yeah. But, you know, as an adult, as I've become this, I always thought I would be a stay-at-home mom and that would be my path. But, you know, circumstances change, and for a variety of reasons, if you find yourself a working mom, I'm not going to admit that I have it all together or that I figured out all the pieces, but I have figured out some things that work for me that help make me feel like I'm empowered in my roles rather than feeling like I'm always coming up short.
Now, this is true whether you're single or married.
Absolutely.
Because our focus today is on the working mom. And whether it's unfortunate or just the nature of the beast in terms of how our world is now, a lot of moms are working,
it's true,
whether they're single or not. And there's particular challenges, I think, if you're not in a committed marriage or relationship. But there's some principles that go to the working mom, whether they're single or married, because you are happily married.
Yes.
And working.
Yes.
And a mom.
Yes. Every day.
Share with us some of what you've learned.
Well, I think first and foremost, I am an avid planner. And so I realize that I have the exact same minutes in the day as anybody else. And it's my choice how to use them and invest them. And so for some of us, planning is a little bit more second nature. I think for me, it's more second nature. And for some people, it feels foreign. But one of the things that I've realized is the greatest investment I can give my kids and the greatest investment I can give my business is the way that I spend my time. And so I'm going to be really strategic about how I use those minutes as a gift, just like I would be strategic about how I use my money, like a budget. And so I sit down once a week, sometimes Sunday evenings, sometimes Monday mornings, and I will sit down and just plan the week. What are the things that need to get done? What are the kids' things that I need to be responsible for? And then when can I schedule time in for me? And so that's one of my biggest tips for working moms is when are you scheduling time in for you to do the things that you love? And it doesn't have to be things that cost money. It can be taking a hot bath. It can be reading a book. It can be going for a walk. But every week I try to schedule in the things that I need to fill my well. And that has been one of the biggest game changers because my mom, I remember her, she'd come home from work and she'd say, I just need a 5-minute nap. And she would go into her room, she'd set a timer, and she'd take a 5-minute nap. Now, a 5-minute nap would do nothing for me, okay? That would not even scrape the surface
that worked
to
for
help
your
me
mom.
feel more rested, but it worked for her, and she loved it. And she would get up, and she'd be peppy, and she'd be happy, and she'd get dinner on the table, and she'd still read books and did other things. I also would go to sleep at night with her watching one episode of Cheers, and I could hear her giggle from the other room. And so whatever it is for you, whether it's a favorite show or favorite something, find something that you love, whether it's playing tennis, reading a book, exercising, schedule those things in because that's really critical.
Now, you know, Michelle, what the resistance is.
Absolutely.
Because you've been there, you know, and you've done a lot of training with particularly women in business. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that this came up as a priority.
Yes.
I thought of another image as you were sharing that, Michelle, that, I've really got to get to this place. And so I'm driving in my truck, right? I've really got to get to this place and I've got to get there on time. I don't have time to fuel up.
Right.
It says it's almost empty on my fuel gauge, but I don't have time to fuel up because I got places to be, right?
Right.
That's the image that came to my mind.
Yeah. Too busy driving somewhere to fill up the gas, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing that I realized, and one of the other things that I have implemented for myself is I'm really big on a power up or a morning routine. So I'll get up just 15 minutes. When I first started reading about it, it was an hour, and I did not have an hour. But 15 minutes in the morning to read something that I liked, read something motivational, look at my goals, look at my calendar, look at the things that matter most for me. I realized that even that one thing, that 15 minutes, was something that was a game changer. If I woke up to the alarm or woke up to the kids screaming, or if I woke up to a buzz on my phone that there's something already blowing up before I've even started my day, then I felt behind all day long. But if I took that 15 to 20 minutes at the beginning of the day, filled my well, then I had enough in my reserves to give to other people and to own my roles and to love my kids and to love my businesses and my team. And so it was really important for me to take that time for me so that I could give to other people. Because if you're running on empty, busy working mom, I feel you. But fill yourself up so that you can really give to the roles that matter most.
Fill up, fuel up, get your reserves on board.
Power up, give yourself that energy.
You know, it's the greatest gift that you can give to the people who are most important first. I mean, your family, your spouse, your kids. The best gift you can give them is a fully functioning mom.
Absolutely.
Right? Who's happy and cheerful and positive. We got other videos. It's important, right? That creates an energy in those relationships, and that helps to sustain you. But then at another level, what about your clients or your employer or the people that you serve as you go share your precious life energy with them? You're committing a lot of time and energy to your work. And so it's important to bring the best person that you can to that equation as well. I love the way that you're putting that in perspective for us, Michelle.
I had one dear friend who was a coworker of mine in a combination event that we had done together. And I remember saying, "What are you doing for you?" She just seemed haggard, ragged, and completely overwhelmed. And she goes, "Oh, I put myself last because my business needs things, my kids need things, and I'll take care of me last." And while I appreciate that badge that you're carrying and that you're helping for other people, just making a simple switch to give yourself some time, not the whole day. Sometimes you need it though. And if you do, take it. But give yourself permission to make yourself a priority because that makes all the difference mentally. And to bring up your point, I feel like the best thing I can give my kids is me being happy and positive.
Absolutely.
And to love my life. And if I'm walking around always talking about how busy I am or how tired I am or how challenging things are or how I don't have enough time to get things done, I'm not showing them how awesome life can be. And the things that I do are wonderful and powerful and important. And what I want them to see is life is good and things can be happy and you can take care of the things that you need to and not constantly running behind. And so, and it's not about time management. It's really about the mental clarity and the ways that you approach being an effective working mom.
It's a misnomer. You can't manage time. You can't save time. Where would you keep it? Right? You can't save it up for tomorrow. All you can do is spend it. So you're saying be clear about your priorities.
Yes.
And make sure that you are on the list. You know what, Michelle? I had a working mom. This is probably a decade ago, who was sitting here on my couch, and as she was expressing just how burdensome her life was at the moment. And
that's real.
Honestly, yeah.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of reasons she felt that way. But I asked her, I handed her a legal pad, and I said, would you just make a quick list of everything and everyone that you're taking care of right now? Let's just brain dump it. Let's get it on the list, and then we'll figure out what to do with it from there. So she starts writing. Oh, she's going furiously. She turns the page, she writes.
How much time do you have, right? We
right?
can write them all down.
And then she starts to slow down, and she thinks a little more, and...
Oh, yes, remembered another one.
Okay. I said, is that everybody? Is that everything? Yeah, I think I got it. It's like 5 pages, right? She hands it over to me. I take a quick look. Guess who's missing?
She is.
She did not put herself on the list. Didn't even think to.
Right.
Who's taking care of you? Now, this is where people get a little stuck sometimes, because they're saying, well, my husband should be taking care of me, or my church should be taking care of me, or my employer should be. Okay, regardless of who should be, whose primary responsibility is it to take care of you?
I can't expect anyone else to do for me.
I'm going to be the bad cop here.
You should, because I can't expect anyone else to do for me what I'm not willing to do for myself. And I can't expect my husband or my kids or my staff to fill holes that I'm not willing to fill. And if I don't make myself a priority, then I can't expect them to make themselves a priority. I want everyone to show up to the table their best selves. And I have to take that responsibility for me too.
That creates a dynamic too, because maybe you've seen this with your husband. I certainly have with my wife. When we take better care of ourselves, we show up better for our spouse too, for each other. So it sets a different dynamic there in the relationship.
And again, all things in priority. I'll schedule time with my husband. I consider date night to be just as important as meeting with a client or lunch with a friend. And I schedule time with each of my kids. And so it's not like I'm putting myself above and squeezing out my important relationships.
Right.
I schedule all of those things in my week, myself included, so that all of my roles are getting the best of me.
That way we keep it all in a context, and we keep that perspective that you so skillfully illustrated today. Thank you so much for sharing those ideas.
Thank you.
Okay, all you working moms or other people who love working moms, find somebody to share this with. Let's spread the positivity.